thank you, Mayor, for your opening remarks and welcoming our community so warmly. Let's give them another round of applause. And now, I hope you folks get a little noisier as we roll along today, because I feel like I'm talking to, because I can't really see anybody out there, so I feel like, am I talking to people? Okay, and now for opening keynote. At the first Women in Cyber event, was anybody there? I was. There was like almost 800 people at that event in Toronto 2 years ago. Dr. Gina Cody gave a passionate data-backed overview of the state of women in tech. Well, as we all know, from March 2020 until today, a whole lot has changed in the world. Please join me in welcoming back Dr. Cody for her opening keynote, Women in Cybersecurity, the State of Affairs in Canada.
Wow! Thank you, Shelley. Good morning, everyone. It's such a great pleasure to be back here for this wonderful conference. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous ce matin. Je suis ravie d'être de retour à cette merveilleuse conférence. Today, I will be speaking on the importance of women and diversity in cybersecurity. But first, I would like to set the stage. A lot has happened since 2020. The last time I spoke at this conference. What a difference 2 years can make. At that time, the pandemic was still in its early stages, and we hadn't yet felt its impact in Canada. I can tell you how happy I am to be able to stand here in person again. For all of you. That said, the past 2 years have fueled our transition to digital living. We learned to work and collaborate online. We learned to shop for groceries online, and we ordered restaurant meals using apps. We learned to connect with family, friends, and loved ones using Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, and the list goes on. And for some of you, you learned how to date and search for love online. Most of these tools and platforms already existed, yet the pandemic accelerated their mass adoption. So, what does that mean for society? When I was here 2 years ago, I spoke about the fact that we are living through the fourth industrial revolution. Past industrial revolutions were about the invention of new technologies such as steam power and electricity, followed by telecommunications and computers. However, our current revolution is about connectivity between existing, evolving, and new technologies. This connectivity is helping transfer an ever-growing portion of our lives into the digital world. We see that in the emergence of the Internet of Things, virtual and augmented reality, the metaverse, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, cloud and edge computing, and the list goes on and on. As the line between our physical and digital lives blurs, the world is beginning to realize just how important cybersecurity really is. According to the 2022 Cybersecurity Almanac by Cybersecurity Ventures, the damage from cybercrime totaled more than $6 trillion in 2021. To put this into context, the report notes that if cybercrime were measured as a country, it would be the third largest GDP in the world after the United States and China. Think about that. What is even more troubling is that the report predicts that the cost of cybercrime will rise by approximately 15% annually, reaching $10.5 trillion in 2025. That's up from about $3 trillion in 2015, an increase of more than 300%. According to a 2022 report by Deloitte, ransomware attacks present the most prevalent emerging business risk for companies. These attacks aren't just inconvenient or costly. They present an existential risk to companies. According to the report, there are more than 4,000 ransomware attacks every single day. And that number is growing rapidly. Cybersecurity Ventures says that ransomware attacks cost victims $20 billion in 2021, more than 57 times higher than in 2015. This number is expected to grow by 30% annually and reach $265 billion in 2031. According to Statistics Canada, 1 in 5 companies said they were impacted by cybersecurity incidents in 2019. Given the global trends, that number is likely significantly higher today. And it's not just cyber crimes. Democracies around the world are under attack from massive misinformation and disinformation campaigns. These attacks aim to destabilize and polarize democracies and democratic societies. And it pains me to say this, but they're doing a terrific job of it. In Canada, the political discourse is becoming increasingly hostile. There is a growing sense of us versus them across political and ideological divides. And there is less and less space for nuanced discussions or even just civil discussions. So what are we doing about it? Well, we see private industry heavily investing to shore up their cybersecurity and IT capabilities. According to Cybersecurity Ventures, global spending on cybersecurity will total $1.75 trillion between 2021 and 2025. And government is also beginning to invest heavily in this sector. For example, the government of Canada recently announced nearly $80 million in new funding to establish the Cybersecurity Innovation Network, or CSIN. With additional funding from partner organizations, CSIN will have a starting budget of $160 million. This network brings together universities, private sector firms, provincial, territorial, and municipal governments, and nonprofits. They will conduct cutting-edge collaborative research and development projects in cybersecurity. CSIN will be co-led by 5 Canadian universities, including my own alma mater, Concordia University in Montreal. Dr. Murad Dababi, Dean of the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science, and a globally respected cybersecurity expert, will lead Concordia's efforts in this network. What sets CSIN apart is that it brings together experts from the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. This is crucial because in an era of hyper-connectivity, no one is an island. However, despite these efforts, there are currently 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity positions globally. 3.5 million. In Canada, that number sits around 25,000 jobs, and this number for sure will go up. According to a 2022 report by Information Systems Audit and Control Association, 63% of companies globally say they have unfilled cybersecurity positions. 63%. This figure is up 8% from 2021, just in 1 year, 8%. If that wasn't bad enough, 60% of surveyed companies say they are having trouble training cybersecurity staff. So, what are the solutions? Let's start with the employment gap. According to a recent report by International Information Security Certification Consortium, or ISC Square, women make up 21% of the cybersecurity workforce in North America. 21%. The math here is straightforward. If we want to close the employment gap in cybersecurity, we need to close the gender gap. Thank you. I'm so passionate about this subject matter. When I last spoke at this conference, I focused on the individual actions we can all take to help close the gender gap. Today, I want to focus on what organizations and companies can do. First, it's important to highlight that this is not an issue that any one company, organization, or government can solve. We need a holistic approach. Organizations can implement any number of initiatives to attract women cybersecurity professionals, but that will only go so far if the employment pool is empty. We need to begin by encouraging more women to pursue careers in cybersecurity. Private industry needs to partner with universities and colleges to help attract and train the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. From funding cybersecurity programs, research, scholarships, and bursaries, to working with educational institutions to shape curriculum, there are many options available to private industry. Companies can further support their employment needs by working with universities to create internship and experiential learning opportunities for students. This will help create a direct pipeline from the classroom to the workplace. By working together, we can create the necessary incentives to attract women into cybersecurity. Such collaboration ensures that university graduates have the skills and knowledge that companies need. My message to industry leaders is to not be passive observers, but active collaborators and partners. That is step one. Step two is just as important, but often overlooked. It's not enough to attract women into your organization. You need to make sure that your work culture and space is welcoming to women. The main issue women have entering male-dominated fields isn't that there aren't any other women. It's that these environments are often actively hostile to women. As we know, change can be difficult and slow. Companies need to take a strong stance against verbal or sexual harassment in their workplaces. And it always pains me to have to say this, because it's 2022, but women need to receive the same compensation as men. According to ISC Square, women in cybersecurity are making 21% less than their male counterparts on average. Let me be perfectly clear here. Gender equity cannot be achieved without pay equity. I will say that again. Gender equity cannot be achieved without pay equity. And finally, as a third step, women must have the same promotion and professional development opportunities as the men in their workplace. This is not something that can be left to the honor system. Hiring committees are not inherently objective. They must have clear and enforceable guidelines for hiring and promoting employees. To avoid discrimination and bias, companies must ensure their hiring and the hiring committees are diverse. Which leads me to my next important topic, diversity. Diversity is particularly important in the field of cybersecurity. As we know, geography and physical borders mean very little in the digital world. Wars are now being fought in cyberspace. The winners are those who will be the most imaginative and creative. Studies show that diverse teams are significantly more creative. Diversity comes in many different forms: ethnicity, nationality and culture, gender, age, sexual orientation, personal and professional backgrounds, and the list goes on. Our lives are increasingly defined by technology, and there are consequences when the teams producing the technology only represent one segment of the society. For example, imagine a team of young, healthy engineers tasked with designing a pedestrian traffic light, a simple design. Will they consider the amount of time needed for an elderly person or someone with a physical disability to cross? Will they consider the needs of the visually or hearing impaired? We have all seen what happens when non-diverse teams design new technologies. We get discriminatory face recognition software. We get AI taking on the biases of the programmers or of learning bad behaviors, as was the case of Tay, Microsoft's failed chatbot. And we get vehicle safety features designed for average man, leading to women being up to 70% more likely to be injured in car accidents. 70%. These are just a few examples of what can go wrong when the teams designing new technologies are not representative of our society. Moreover, companies are now multinational or global. Hiring staff from diverse backgrounds and cultures will help firms better understand and serve their clients overseas. Yet, we don't need to look that far. Canada is a diverse country inhabited by people from all around the world. Companies with diverse employees are better positioned to understand the needs and wants of their diverse clients. And the studies in this area are clear. Diversity it's not just a trending buzzword. A recent study by McKinsey and Company found that companies with greater gender diversity on their executive teams were up to 25% more likely to have higher profits than their male-dominated competitors. That's up from 21% in 2017. And those companies with greater ethnic diversity on their executive teams were up to 36% more likely to have higher profits than less diverse companies. That's up from 33% in 2017. And this study was done on 1,000 large companies in 15 countries. So it was a large pool. I have said this before, but it's worth saying it again. Supporting gender equity and diversity is not just morally and ethically right, it's smart business. And here's the thing. The McKinsey report shows that the gap between companies that embraced diversity earlier and those who are lagging behind is growing wider. This means the longer companies wait to act, the further they will fall behind. If we don't embrace diversity and promote inclusion, then inequality will continue to grow and divide us. This is a challenge that requires all of us, women and men. This is a challenge that requires collaboration across the public and private sectors. Canada needs strong role models to step up and lead the way. That's why I made my gift to Concordia University in Montreal, and that's why I continue to be an advocate for change. A significant portion of my gift was to support equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives in Concordia's engineering and computer science faculty, which included a major cybersecurity component. Concordia's Security Research Center is home to nearly 150 cybersecurity researchers, faculty members, master and doctoral students. To move the dial, we take all of us working together. We need to unite together. I take courage and strength seeing all the bright, talented, and diverse women and men here today. You are breaking down barriers and leading the social transformation. You are the reason I am optimistic about the future. Vous êtes la raison pour laquelle je suis optimiste pour l'avenir. Ensemble, nous pouvons construire une société meilleure, plus égale et plus juste. Together, we can build a better, more equal and just society, and some of you, I know, have already begun. Merci and thank you.